All right, let's just dive right into this. What if I told you that one of the most powerful, and let's be honest, secretive figures in all of technology, a guy who helped build PayPal, Palantir, and was the very first outside investor in Facebook, is deeply, genuinely worried about the Antichrist? And I don't mean as some kind of metaphor, I mean as a real and present political danger.
Yep, that's Peter Thiel, in his own words. It's a pretty jarring statement, right? And it perfectly captures the strange crossroads we're looking at today, where you've got this collision of cutting-edge tech, global politics, and ancient theology. But this isn't just some quirky belief. It's actually a core part of a worldview that is actively shaping our world.
And look, this isn't just a passive worry for him. For months, Thiel has been hosting these exclusive, off-the-record lectures going deep into Christian eschatology. He's been talking about who the Antichrist could be and warning that, well, Armageddon is on its way. So you have to ask, what exactly is he so afraid of?
Well, Thiel's definition is incredibly specific. He's not talking about some guy with horns and a pitchfork. For him, the Antichrist is a political system. It's a single global government that gets total control by pretending to be our savior. It's a tyrant that promises to save us from ourselves, all with a smile. So how would a system like this actually come to power? Well, according to Thiel, it would tap into our biggest fears. It would talk constantly about doomsday scenarios, nuclear war, runaway AI, climate catastrophe, anything to scare us into giving up our freedoms for the illusion of security. And the ultimate goal? To create a world of unjust peace and total stagnation, basically stopping human progress right in its tracks.
This Bible verse right here is basically the source code for his political fear. Thiel reads this not as some ancient metaphor, but as a literal prophecy for our time. For him, that phrase, peace and safety, isn't a promise. It's the ultimate red flag. It's the marketing slogan of the Antichrist.
Okay, so that's Thiel's vision of the threat to come. But here's where we're going to take a sharp turn. What if looking for some future enemy is just a massive distraction? What if the oppressive system we should be worried about isn't on the horizon, but is already here, humming away inside the devices in our pockets?
So this slide really frames the central conflict, right? Thiel is terrified of a future global state that will step in and regulate technology into the ground. But a growing number of critics are saying that a handful of unaccountable tech companies have already become a new kind of global state, and they're exercising incredible power without any of our consent.
Now, to really get a grip on this argument, we need to bring in three key thinkers. Shoshana Zuboff, Yanis Varoufakis, and Byung-Chul Han all make the case that we're missing the real story. They claim a quiet coup from above has already gone down, and it's fundamentally rewritten the rules of power for the 21st century.
First up, we have Shoshana Zuboff and her idea of surveillance capitalism. She argues that a totally new form of capitalism has sprung up, one that doesn't trade in stuff you can buy, but in human futures. Its whole business is to claim our private lives, our clicks, our chats, our feelings as a free resource, and then manufacture that into predictions about our behavior.
Now, this is a really crucial point. We've all heard the saying, if you're not paying, you're the product. Zuboff says that's totally obsolete. In this new system, we aren't the product being sold. We're more like an abandoned mine or an untouched forest. Our lives are the raw material for an industry that gets rich by selling certainty about our futures to its real customers. Advertisers, insurance companies, political campaigns, basically anyone who will pay.
Building on that, the economist Yanis Varoufakis makes an even bolder claim. He says capitalism is already dead. And in its place, we have something he calls technofeudalism. In this new world order, big tech platforms like Amazon or Google aren't traditional markets. He calls them cloud fiefs. And us, we're the cloud serfs, endlessly toiling away to make our new digital lords rich, not with crops, but with our data and our attention. The huge shift Varoufakis is talking about is from profit to rent. In classic capitalism, the goal was to make a profit in a competitive market. In technofeudalism, the goal is to extract rent from us just for the privilege of accessing these cloud fiefs. We don't just work for these companies, we literally live inside their privately owned digital worlds, and we pay that rent with every single click, post, and interaction.
Okay, our final thinker, Byung-Chul Han, argues this new system doesn't just work on our wallets, but on our actual minds. He takes us from the economic to the psychological. He calls it psychopolitics, and this new form of power doesn't need to force us to do things with threats. Oh no, it's way smarter.
It seduces us into willingly optimizing ourselves, turning our own desire for freedom and self-improvement into the most effective tool of control you can imagine.
Han has this really powerful metaphor for this. The smartphone is the new rosary. Think about it. We hold it, we confess our deepest thoughts and desires to it, and we use it to constantly monitor and judge ourselves, all to become more productive, more optimized people. We've basically become our own prison guards, happily generating data in this endless loop of self-exploitation.
So, this is the core of it all. We've got two competing visions of the Antichrist. Is it the future global bureaucracy that Peter Thiel fears, the one that will stifle innovation to keep us safe? Or is it the current, unaccountable tech oligarchy that the critics point to, the one that's already mining our data, commanding our attention, and programming our behavior for profit?
When you're faced with these massive systems of control, it's pretty easy to feel helpless. But these same thinkers also show us a way to fight back. And it's not just one single thing, it's a multi-layered approach that works on a personal, political, and even a technological level. So step one is all internal. Byung-Chul Han calls it idiotism, and he doesn't mean being foolish. He means the brave act of standing apart from the crowd, of refusing to constantly connect and conform. It means deliberately carving out spaces of silence for yourself. Kind of like the writer of Yanis, who literally locks his phone in a timed safe just to reclaim his ability to focus. But individual actions can only get you so far. Step two has to be political. We have to demand collective accountability. This means fighting for things like data justice, so that data collection is transparent and can't be used to discriminate against people. It means pushing our lawmakers to actually challenge this coup from above, with real, tough, enforceable regulations.
And finally, resistance means building the world we actually want to live in. It means creating and supporting technologies that don't depend on surveillance capitalism. Imagine what Varoufakis calls a cloud commons, a digital public square owned by all of us. This is about building a whole new ecosystem where our digital tools finally serve us, not a handful of tech lords.
So in the end, whether you're more worried about Peter Thiel's future Antichrist or the critics' present-day one, the diagnosis is eerily similar. We're facing a totalizing system that threatens human freedom. And that leaves all of us with a pretty profound choice. Are we going to stay as cloud serfs, just sleepwalking through a system that profits from our every move? Or are we going to wake up, reclaim our autonomy, and start the hard work of building a more democratic digital future?
Getting to the heart of the matter isn't always easy, but here we always look for the essence. Thank you for your time and your curiosity. Subscribe for more answers, and as always, thanks for watching.